Hey guys, I just want to get started with the nervous system. This is the next system that we're going to go through. And before I get started, I just want to talk to you about some reminders. So, the end of the semester is drawing near. There's about 4.5 weeks left, which is about half of the last 9 weeks. So, if you're not sitting where you want to sit on grades, you got a lot of work to do in the next 4.5 weeks, because when I come back after Thanksgiving, we will do the cardiovascular system. We will have a test on that. We will have a quiz on the digestive system. I only spend about 2 days on the digestive system. And then we will have our pig dissection, and that's basically it. So if you are not happy with your grade, then I would be doing some self-reflection to figure out how am I going to make a change in the last half of the 9 weeks. If you have makeup work, it needs to be done by next Tuesday. When you come back from Thanksgiving and I'm back in action, we're going to hit the ground running, and there's not going to be a whole lot of time for makeup work. And when you go out for Thanksgiving, you're not going to remember everything when you come back. So, if I were you, I would suggest you get your stuff made up by next Tuesday, because when I come back, we're not going to have time for it. And I'm probably not going to let you make it up. So get your makeup work done, get it turned in. We will have a brain dissection when I come back. We will have a heart dissection when I come back. And we will have a pig dissection. So that'll be 3 good lab grades. But that's going to take a lot of class time. There's not going to be a lot of time to be worried about makeup work. So muscular system, or some of you still have skeletal system stuff that needs to be made up, needs to be done by the time we go on Thanksgiving break. Also thinking about exams. If you have a 90 for the average, for your semester average, you will be able to exempt. If not, then you'll be taking the exam, and we will do exam review that last week before we go out for Christmas break. This is the nervous system. We'll do notes on nervous system for this week, and then you will have your test on the nervous system the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then we'll be done. So, hope everybody's doing well. Let's get started with the nervous system. It's not hard. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of physiology to it, because I'm trying to make it easy for you as we get towards the end of the 9 weeks. Okay, so nervous system in general. The function is that it's going to detect any change in the environment. It's going to take that information and evaluate it, and then it's going to figure out what does the response need to be. You go outside, it's cold. Your body detects a change in the environment. Our temperature drops. It's going to evaluate that information and then say, okay, let's make a response to that. Let's make the hairs on my arm stand up so we can trap a layer of heat against our skin to keep our body temperature where it needs to be. Something like that. The change in environment could also be internal. Our blood sugar drops. We detect a change in the environment, we evaluate that situation, and we're going to bring the blood sugar back to normal level. Okay, there are 3 components to the nervous system. We have the brain, we have the spinal cord, and we have the nerves. 3 main parts, pretty simple. All of them are connected. Brain's connected to the spinal cord, nerves split out from there. I know some of you have emailed me, this is a side note, some of you have emailed me or told me, Craig, that's too small whenever you're writing on those videos. Well, we all have phones and we all have computers. Go home and look at it if you can't see it. I keep checking back and forth and seeing that my number of views never change. So if you start complaining about grades, one way to get your grade up would be go back and watch these videos if you don't understand something. I have 60-something anatomy kids and I have 8 views. I know y'all don't want to listen to me over again, but if there's a part you don't understand, fast forward till we get to it and watch that 2 or 3 minutes on that section. Okay, the nervous system can be split up into different parts. And if we're splitting it by location, so where is it in the body, it can be split based on, or split into two types, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of your brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is made up of 12 cranial nerves and 31 spinal nerves. And no, you do not have to memorize all of them. They're in your textbook in case you get curious, but you will not have to memorize them for my class. When you get to college, you will have to know all 12 and all 31 and what their names are and what they do. But for now, just know that the cranial and spinal nerves make up the peripheral nervous system, whereas the brain and the spinal cord make up the central nervous system. If we split the nervous system up by function, not by location, but by function, we have the afferent and the efferent. If you remember, the stem AF means towards, whereas EF means away from or exit is how I think about it, because it starts with an E. So the afferent subdivision of the nervous system is going to involve incoming sensory pathways. So that would be a receptor. So let's say we touch the oven and it's hot. That would be like a receptor sending information towards the brain. It's an incoming sensory information to the brain, and then the brain is going to send that information to an effector, which is going to involve the efferent pathway, which is going to be our outgoing motor pathway. Motor means movement. To effectors. So that would be the brain to a muscle, for example. Your effectors are generally muscles and glands or organs. So we have information coming into the brain. That would be a sensory information. We touch the oven and it's hot. That's sensory information. The brain is then going to send the information from an efferent pathway to a muscle that tells me to pull my hand away because we're touching something hot. If we subdivide the nervous system based on the organs that they innervate or the organs that they control, we can split it up into somatic and autonomic nervous systems. Soma means body, if we remember that from our stems. And the somatic information, or somatic nervous system, is going to carry information to skeletal muscles. And the somatic nervous system is controlled by you. You have control over your somatic nervous system, whereas the autonomic nervous system you have no control over. So this is controlled by you. Okay, you have control over your somatic nervous system. I can tell myself to raise my arm. That's my brain telling my skeletal muscles to move my arm. That's part of the somatic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is going to carry information to your smooth muscles, your cardiac muscles, and your glands. You have no control over that. I can't tell my pancreas to release insulin. I can't tell my heart to beat. No matter how hard I try, I just can't. And so that means I have no control over it. All of those things together are making up the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so these are going to carry information to the smooth muscles. So smooth, cardiac muscles, and glands. Now, be careful here. If I'm talking about smooth muscles or cardiac muscles, that's part of the muscular system. If I'm talking about glands, that's part of the endocrine system. But the nervous system aspect of that is the autonomic nervous system, meaning that the autonomic nervous system controls these things. The nerves that innervate them, or the nerves that control the smooth muscles, the cardiac muscles, and the glands, are part of the autonomic nervous system. And this is no human control. There are two parts to the autonomic nervous system. The first one is the sympathetic nervous system. The second one is the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is going to kick in during fight or flight. When your body needs to respond to an action, that's going to be the sympathetic nervous system kicking in. During rest and repair, or rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system will be activated. A lot more detail to that, but for right now, just memorize rest and digest. That's going to be your parasympathetic nervous system. When we're in fight or flight, we're in sympathetic. Okay, that is pretty much how do I separate the nervous system based on either the location. Are we talking about our brain and our spinal cord? Well, that's central nervous system. Are we talking about the nerves? Well, that's peripheral. Are we talking about information coming into the brain? Well, that's going to be afferent. Are we talking about information going to a muscle? Well, that has to be part of the efferent. That's just general definitional stuff about the nervous system.